after, they'll say, okay, well, he fought whatever the guy's name was in December, and possibly they'll come back to the table after he told Spence to spin the block. And in January, he met up with Golden Boy, and his mandatory to fight Alexis Rocha wasn't until March or April. Did we calculate, Marty?
Yeah,
Um,
I think it was March or April. Yeah.
yeah, and all of a sudden, there became a purse bid. What is it called? Not a purse bid, but they were directed that they had to start talking, or there was a purse bid that was being ordered. The timeline of why you went to Golden Boy, then Oscar is over here saying, "Oh well, we have Alexis. You could fight your mandatory, and then you could fight Spence." Like, why? If you like, at the end of the day, if you felt that you were doing well in those negotiations with Al, then why would you go and need to go behind Golden Boy to represent you now?
Right.
That's a good point.
Very,
That's a
very
real
It,
good.
point.
it's because he trying to get away from Errol Spence. You ask me. I mean, we thought that Bob Arum was the problem, and once he left Bob, we was all happy and orange, like, oh yeah, we should get this fight, and we still ain't getting it. And Terence Crawford is doing everything else but try to deal with Al Haymon. I see a lot of Terence Crawford fans talking about, well, Terence Crawford don't have to sign with Al Haymon. Y'all just mad. Well, he signed to Bob. He signed a one fight deal with Black Prime. If he go to Golden Boy promotion, he go sign with them. So why not sign with the PBC when you could be your own boss? When you can have Al Haymon to be your advisor? You tried to get Al Haymon to actually help you for free. You wanted to meet him and want to ask questions and all about this. No, go get your representation. Y'all get together, figure it out, then come back and holler at Al Haymon. Al Haymon is not going to work for free. So what I believe is he doing everything but try to make this fight. According to his own words in an interview, he said that it's better to be undefeated than to fight credible fights. That's what Crawford said.
All right. Real fast, D-Town. D-Dub. I can't get a name out, but if you look at the interviews, you can guess who told me that. It's like, where would those specific numbers come from somebody I interviewed? And mind you, they're like really, really specific. So I can't get a name out, but I mean, you can guess. But as far as what D-Town was saying, yo, what's crazy is Floyd Mayweather is the all-time pay-per-view seller in the history of anything, right? Like WWE, any draw, he should be number one, right? And then you have Gervonta Davis coming up and then selling a million pay-per-views. Gervonta's, like 27, 28 years old. If you have a proven track record that a guy is able to build a star out of a guy from your demographic consistently, like Wilder, I think Wilder sold close to 1 million. Now Tank's sold 1 million and Floyd religiously sold 1 million. Wouldn't it behoove you to sign with him? Like, maybe he just has the recipe for people that look like you or comes from your background. I know if I'm a Brit, I'm going to Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn, he knows that market. He's very successful in that market. Al Haymon is very successful in the urban market. Very. He makes crossover stars. Like, I don't get it, yo. I don't get it. Can somebody tell me? Please.
Yes. I'll tell you. And this is great. Let me just. This is great, YSM, because you made me famous by asking me some great questions on your channel, even last year. There's several things that I said. I want to answer your question like this. I said it first live on your channel. I said it in August. I played the replay of this before you got on. Bo Mack and Terence Crawford cannot out-negotiate Stephen Espinosa and Al Haymon. I said that. That was true. I also said in my first interview live with you, I said, when you asked me what's stalling this issue, like what's stalling the negotiations, what's happening in my opinion. And I specifically said, this was back in July of 2022. I said, people kept saying Bob Arum was the issue all this time. and Bob Arum is nowhere near to be found, and we're still having an issue. That was last July on your channel. And I think D-Town made a reference to that on his channel when I start from that same interview. Now, fast forward to where we are to answer your question. David Evanesian fights Crawford on BLK Prime. Crawford goes over to BLK Prime. Before that, Adrian Broner goes to BLK Prime. Adrian Broner does an interview, and basically what I'm going to do is tell you exactly the reason why and tell everybody watching live in the replay of this live the reason why. Adrian Broner is the one that basically broke the news and exposed the reason why. And this is how he did it. He did it inadvertently, but I'm going to bring it back home to everything I just said. Adrian Broner said it the best, and if you look at what Crawford is doing with his actions, is matching up. Crawford's actions is matching up with Broner's words. Broner said, because think about what D-Town is talking about, and we saw Crawford do this. He went over, he was with Bob Arum, signed with them. He goes over to BLK Prime, signed a one-fight deal with them. Think about what Rachel Donier just alluded to. He said he was going to spin the block after he fought David Evanesian to fight Crawford. Guess what his actions do, though? Sends him right on an airplane from Nebraska all the way across the country to LA to go meet with Golden Boy Promotions, right? But he's dodging every other, he's accepting every other term or even negotiating with other managements and other promotion companies except for Al Heyman and PBC. And the reason why, this is my personal belief system, is because Adrian Broner inadvertently exposed Terence Crawford's actions. And Broner said it himself. I can pull the interview up for anybody in the chat that don't believe. You're going to get paid when you fight over there at PBC, but you're going to have to fight. I'll let D-Town say the word.
Godzilla.
You're going to have to fight Godzilla when you go up over there. So my point is, if Crawford said from 2020 all the way to 2022, which I have this on my channel published now, where I broke down his interview with Brian Custer on numerous occasions, he said, I want to fight Crawford. He said, I want to fight Thurman and I will fight Danny Garcia. I might even want to fight Ugas. And then I'll fight Spence too. All of those guys, Spence, Thurman, Danny Garcia, and Ugas are represented by PBC. Why not sign over there with them to fight all the fighters that's in-house? The same way ESPN does, the same way Della and Hoyer and them do, and the same way PBC do. If you really want to fight those guys. But you know when you go over there, Crawford, you're going to have to fight Godzilla. And that's how they match those fights up over there. Sean Porter fought Danny Garcia. Sean Porter fought Errol Spence. Errol Spence fought Danny Garcia, right? Danny Garcia fought Keith Thurman. That's what that is. Thank you, D-Town. Let me steal your word. That's what that is. Look, Erickson Lubin. He fought Fundora, right? These are hard.
He fought Charlo.
He fought Charlo, and he's really, to me, in my opinion, he was still green. He shouldn't have fought Charlo, but his business is okay. Castaño fights Charlo twice. Tony Harrison fights him twice. Tony
Harrison fought Jared Hurd. Tony
Harrison fights Jared Hurd. J-Rock, Julian Williams fights Jared Hurd.
And Charlo.
Charlo. Costa Zoo's son, Tim Zoo, fought Tony Harrison. This is the fights that they do over there at PBC. And Crawford knows that, and so does Broner. So my point is, the reason why, to answer your question, that Crawford is avoiding going over there and he'll entertain everybody else, because he know when he go over there, it's not going to be the matchmaker. And I love Brad Goodman. It ain't going to be a Brad Goodman ESPN type matchmaking, like they still matchmaking you like you a prospect. You going to go in there, you going to fight some real competition, win, lose, or draw. That's what I think, YSM.